Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 was a scheduled international passenger flight that disappeared on the 8th of March 2014, while traveling from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, to Beijing, China, carrying 239 people, including 227 passengers and 12 crew members, and its disappearance became one of the greatest mysteries in the history of aviation, drawing global attention because a large, modern commercial aircraft vanished with no clear explanation and was never fully found, despite years of searching and investigation. The aircraft was a Boeing 777-200ER, considered very safe and reliable, and it took off normally from Kuala Lumpur International Airport at 12:41 a.m. local time, with nothing unusual reported during boarding, taxiing, or takeoff, and the weather conditions along the planned route were generally good. The flight was expected to take about 6 hours, and for the first part of the journey everything appeared routine, with normal communication between the pilots and air traffic control. The last confirmed voice communication from the cockpit occurred at 1:19 a.m., when the captain or first officer calmly said, "Good night, Malaysian 370, as the aircraft was about to leave Malaysian airspace and enter Vietnamese airspace. Shortly after this, the aircraft's transponder, which sends identifying information to air traffic control, stopped transmitting, causing MH370 to disappear from civilian radar screens, although military radar later showed that the aircraft continued flying for several hours. This sudden loss of communication without a distress call immediately raised concerns, but at first there was confusion about the aircraft's location because different air traffic control centers assumed the other was in contact with the plane. As time passed and the aircraft failed to arrive in Beijing, it became clear that something was very wrong. Early search efforts focused on the South China Sea, where the aircraft was last expected to be, but no wreckage or signals were found there, leading investigators to reconsider the plane's possible path. Military radar data later revealed that after losing contact, MH370 made a sharp turn back across the Malay Peninsula, flew over the Andaman Sea, and then headed south into the vast and remote southern Indian Ocean. This discovery dramatically changed the understanding of what happened and suggested that the aircraft was deliberately redirected, either by someone in the cockpit or due to some other unusual event. Further clues came from satellite data provided by Inmarsat, a satellite communications company, which showed that although the aircraft's main communication systems were off, it continued to exchange automated handshake signals with a satellite for several hours after it disappeared from radar. These signals did not provide exact location data, but they allowed experts to estimate the aircraft's possible paths, resulting in two large arcs: a northern arc stretching into Central Asia, and a southern arc extending deep into the southern Indian Ocean. After analysis, investigators concluded that the southern route was far more likely, and attention shifted to a remote area west of Australia. The search effort that followed was unprecedented in scale, cost, and international cooperation, involving dozens of countries, ships, aircraft, and advanced underwater search technology. Australia took a leading role in coordinating the search, given the likely location of the crash, and search teams faced extremely difficult conditions, including deep ocean waters, rough seas, and limited information to guide them. Despite scanning vast areas of the ocean floor using sonar and underwater vehicles, the main wreckage of MH370 was never located, even after years of searching and billions of dollars spent. However, starting in 2015, pieces of debris believed to be from MH370 began washing up on shorelines across the Indian Ocean, including on Réunion Island, Mozambique, South Africa, Tanzania, and Mauritius. Several of these pieces were confirmed to be parts of the Boeing 777, including a flaperon, which is a control surface on the wing, providing strong evidence that the aircraft crashed into the ocean at high speed. The pattern and condition of the debris supported the idea that the aircraft broke apart on impact with the water, rather than making a controlled landing or ditching. Despite these findings, the exact location of the crash and the full sequence of events leading up to it remain unknown. Investigators considered many possible explanations, including mechanical failure, fire, hijacking, terrorism, and deliberate action by the pilot or another person on board. A sudden mechanical failure was considered unlikely because the aircraft continued flying for hours after losing contact, and no emergency call was made. Terrorism was also examined, but no credible evidence emerged linking the disappearance to any terrorist group, and background checks on passengers did not reveal clear threats. Attention eventually focused on the possibility of deliberate action from within the cockpit, especially given the aircraft's unusual flight path and the deliberate shutdown of communication systems. The captain, Zahari Ahmad Shah, was an experienced pilot with thousands of flight hours, and investigators examined his background, personal life, and flight simulator data, which reportedly showed he had practiced routes similar to the one MH370 is believed to have taken, although these findings were controversial and not considered definitive proof of intent. The first officer, Fariq Abdul Hamid, was younger and less experienced, and no strong evidence linked him to deliberate action. Still, no clear motive or explanation was ever established for either pilot, and investigators emphasized that there was no conclusive proof of pilot suicide or mass murder. Another theory suggested that a fire or smoke event could have incapacitated the crew and passengers, leading the aircraft to fly on autopilot until it ran out of fuel and crashed. But again, there was no direct evidence to confirm this. Over time, public frustration grew as search efforts failed to locate the main wreckage, and families of the victims demanded answers, transparency, and continued efforts to find the aircraft. In 2017, after covering more than 120,000 square kilometers of ocean floor, the official underwater search was suspended without success, marking a painful moment for families who still hoped for closure. In 2018, a private company called Ocean Infinity launched a new search under a no-find, no-fee arrangement with the Malaysian government, using advanced autonomous underwater vehicles to scan the seabed, but this effort also ended without locating the wreckage. The Malaysian government released several investigation reports,